So let's continue with my session, where today I will be speaking on chapter number 2. Now, as I told you yesterday, we'll be meeting for next 10 days, starting from yesterday. Today is the second day, so we will be meeting for another 8 times, and every day we will be meeting from 9 to 10. So tomorrow also my session would be there for 1 hour. Then Saturday, Sunday we will meet again from Monday to Friday, and evening 2 days on Monday and Tuesday. So that's how it is scheduled. So as I said, there are 18 chapters in Bhagavad Gita, and out of those 18 chapters, first I have covered yesterday, second I will be covering today, third I will be covering tomorrow. And then depending upon the quantity of the verses which are there in chapter, I might combine 2 or 3 chapters together, so that within 10 days I will be able to finish all 18 chapters. So second chapter, as I said yesterday, is number 2 as far as the number of verses are concerned in Bhagavad Gita. Number of verses, maximum number of verses are there in the 18th chapter, which are 78, and chapter 2 has got verses which are 72. So we have nothing to do with it as far as our contents are concerned, because the things are there which will come to know as and when we proceed. So second chapter, which is known as Sankhya Yoga. Now this word is slightly difficult to understand. The actual meaning of Sankhya Yoga is yoga of transcendental or supernatural knowledge. Or let's make it simple, perfect knowledge. Perfect knowledge in the sense that none of us can have at any given point of time. Wherever we try to get knowledge more and more, the more and more we try to know what are the things where we are lacking. You know, there is one very beautiful saying in English that says that you must know what you do not know. Very thoughtful sentence. You must know what you do not know. Before that, you must know what you know. It is in simple terms your strengths, what you are good at, what are your positive qualities, what competencies do you have, what skills do you have. That is all what you know. But then more important to know is what you do not know. In the sense that you will try to find out the areas where you are finding yourself weak, and then try to develop yourself in the areas where you don't have the competencies. So from that context, you must know what you do not know. So that you can make yourself more and more perfect as and when you progress in your career. Now, whenever you join any industry, at this today's moment, when you join the industry, there might be certain new things which has come up in the industry, new trends which have come up. But as and when you will go with your career, maybe either up in the hierarchy or as the days pass on, there will be many changes which will be happening. And if you do not adopt to those changes, you will remain behind the other people who are likely to go up as comparison to you, those who adopt the things. So when you are doing MBA, you might definitely be getting a degree and a knowledge which is required for being a manager in any company. But then still, when you join, everybody will be given a training which is called as an induction training. So induction training per se will make you understand about the organization, about the policies of the organizations, about the know-hows of the organization, then different kind of processes or the different kind of things, rules, regulations, bylaws followed in that organization, so that you know about the organization. And then when you start working, it might happen that very often you will be given different kind of trainings. You will be sent for different kind of trainings. Yesterday I told you about, I just mentioned about the trainings. So every company does have a budget for the training, and under that budget you will be given a training. Now that training is not given for the sake of giving you the training, but then for the sake of making you improvise to a level. What are the expectations from you to be sitting at that particular position? So from that perspective, you have to keep on updating yourself. That is the intention of this particular word, perfect knowledge. And perfect knowledge we cannot give, we cannot receive in our entire life. So it is said that there is always a scope of improvement. So whenever you get MBA degree, that's all. Most of the people think that now the entire education in our life is done. We have taken all the education that is required. But then there is one more degree above as far as technical degrees are concerned, or documentation is concerned, that is PhD. And that is supposed to be a higher degree anybody can get by appearing for some kind of procedural things to be done. You have to do the survey, then you have to print a report as you do it for your summer internships. And then there would be Viva. Of course, it's not that simple, but then that is the highest degree which any university can give it to you by studying. So still, if you see the percentage, there are only 4% people who do the PhDs in starting from school days and taking the number of PhDs which are coming up, that percentage comes to 4%. What I am trying to tell you is that whatever you have got in your MBA curriculum knowledge, that is not at all sufficient. Once you start working from the age of, let's say, 24, 25, till the time you get retirement at the age of 58, 60, whatever, or 65, whatever is the norm of that company, you have to keep on learning many new things, probably every new year. Because the things are changing. I can give you a very simplistic example which I hope all of you will understand. That when I was a student in my Government College of Engineering, we had one subject called as computer awareness. And this I am talking of the year 1987. When I guess none of you were born in that year. So 1987 we had got a subject called as computer awareness. And that computer was kept in one small room. In entire COEP, that was the only computer which COEP had. That costed 3.5 lakh rupees in 1986, where fees were only 336. So you can just compare the proportion. 336 rupees per year, and the cost of the computer was 3.5 lakh rupees. The hard disk of that computer was 512 MB. Hard disk. And it was kept in a small room where there was a watch window. And that computer awareness subject was taught to us by showing that computer from that window as if we were watching an ICU patient. And then they were telling, oh, the keyboards are display ka, that is the keyboard, and the TV screens are the display ka, that is the display monitor. So that's how we learned computer. But now everybody has computers in your hands, right? So days have changed, technology has changed, and these changes are going to happen very frequently. What is expected of you to make yourself more and more perfect? I'll be coming to that topic called as management of change, which will be coming up later in one of the chapters. There I'll speak more on that. So what the second chapter speaks about, the current knowledge eon. Eon means, any idea? Eon means era, or yeah, knowledge era. So today's is said to be a knowledge era, where knowledge era is developed in the concept of learning organization. Now this is a concept typically HR people might be knowing, but the concept is that, as I was telling you, that you have to keep on developing yourself, keep on getting the knowledge, keep on learning all the time. That is the reason why earlier, where there used to be a T&D department, training and development, now it is renamed as learning and development. Because learning has to happen, which I mentioned even yesterday. So there is a concept of something called as learning organization, where organizations learn. What do I mean by organizations learn? Can a building learn? Answer is no. Can infrastructure of the building learn? No. Can the books in the library learn? No. It is only the people in the organization, they have to keep on learning. So in a sense, the organizations are learning. When people in the organization learn, in the sense, the organizations are learning to cope up with the system, to cope up with the new changes, to cope up with the new challenges, to put it in a proper words, which are required to be in that particular learning environment. So learning organization is a concept, again it will come later. Bhagavad Gita, like management gurus, demonstrated the importance of continuous learning, and that's what I was telling you without even referring to this slide. We have to keep on continuously learning. Every year companies have a training and development budget or training calendar which has to be exhausted for the people to learn, because we have to keep on learning. Supposing today we are all talking about Tableau, R, then Python and all. So never knows that after say 10 years this may not be there, something else will come up. Because these were not there 5-10 years before. Computers were not there few years before. Telephones were not there few years before. But it has come. The technology changes, so we have to keep on learning. That is the intention of this chapter. Continuous learning has to happen. And from that perspective, there is a concept called as unfreezing and freezing. For learning something new, you will have to forget something which you already learned in a different context. Forgetting doesn't mean that you have to forget the knowledge which you already. The next learning will be dependent on what you have right now. And then taking the base of it, you might have to forget the way it has been processed, and now you have to do it in a different way. A simplistic example can be all of you maybe changing your answers maybe after 6 months or 1 year max. 6 months or 1 year, because you don't have to pay for it, right? Your parents will pay for the next answers which you want to purchase. As far as your parent is concerned, you can just check with your father and mother. They might not have changed their answers for last 2 years because they have to pay for themselves. When you will start paying for yourself, probably you will not change for 2 years. But now somebody else is paying for that. So what is harm in changing after 6 months or 1 year? What I want to tell you is that if you change after 6 months or 1 year, how much time do you take to operate the new handset?
A day or a week.
Is it that long?
A day or a week.
In my opinion, hardly 5-10 minutes, not more than that. Because the another version or another handset brand may be having those buttons, control buttons somewhere here and there, maybe mirror images. So back button might be on the left hand side, right button might be on the right hand side. In new handset, the back button might be on the right hand side, something like that. But this technology people has come up with a more further additional version that you can customize the buttons, so that you don't have to learn something new. When you want to learn something new, you will have to forget what you were doing with the earlier handset. Then we can learn. There is one unit number 4 in Essentials of Psychology for Managers. So there we talk about more learning. So for learning something new, you might have to remember certain things which you have already learned, but you have to forget many of the things which you have already learned, because the new thing is not using all that old things which you have been using. Now all of you have heard the name of the software called as SPSS. Have you heard of it? SPSS software? You belong to first year or second year? First year. Okay. So the days are yet to come. So there is a software called as SPSS, which is for the statistical data analysis. And this software has come up some, I would say, around 25 years before into the market. Now every researchers, even you people have to use it when you will be doing your summer internship project. Now all these facilities which are there in the SPSS software are already available in a software which we all know and which we keep on using, is Excel. Whatever operations you can do in SPSS, all those could be possible in Excel. But then people are not using the Excel to that extent, and a specialized software of SPSS has come up for the data analysis, and it is much comparatively easier. We, in typical management terms, we call it user-friendly. So SPSS is more user-friendly as compared to Excel. So if you are using SPSS, you will have to forget what you learned in Excel. Then only you will be able to do it, because the controls are different, probably more easy. And once you understand more complicated things, easier things will become difficult for you. I have made a statement. Once you understand complicated things, easier things will become difficult for you. Do you agree with this statement? Slightly complicated statement, but then give it a thought and you will agree with me. So from that context, you will have to at times unfreeze. Unfreeze means forget what you have learned, and then you will have to freeze something which newly have you learned. After 1.5 years, again you will have to unfreeze what you learned today, and then refreeze what you learned newly. So this will see later. Okay, so these are all principles which I could find in second chapter, that is Sankhya Yoga, Yoga of Supernatural or Perfect Knowledge. Stress, dutifulness, doing the assigned work, agony, etc., etc. I will not read one by one. Stress is the one thing where Bhagavad Gita started. Yesterday I made a mention that Arjuna's situation was so horrible that it is mentioned in first chapter that Arjuna has literally slipped his bow from his hand. He was shivering, he was sweating like me because AC is here to operate. Right? So he was sweating and he was too much under stress that how can I kill my own people? I don't want this kind of a kingdom and enjoy this kind of a kingdom by killing my own people, my gurus, my relatives, my brothers, my cousins, etc. So he was under stress. And the entire Bhagavad Gita is an outcome of Arjuna being in stress. If Arjuna would have started right from day one, Bhagavad Gita wouldn't have taken birth. So Bhagavad Gita starts with stress. Then first chapter itself, rather to be specific, from the second verse of second unit or second chapter, Krishna started telling Arjuna that whatever he is doing is all futile, whatever he is thinking is all negative, he should not be stressed because he is a Kshatriya. Kshatriya is the person who fights for the kingdom, who protects the kingdom. And Kshatriya's job, Kshatriya's duty is to protect the kingdom. And that way Kaurava were supposed to be all devil kind of people. So that entire Hastinapur was supposed to be protected by Arjuna and Pandava family from all such kind of people. So his only duty is to protect the kingdom. He should be doing his duty and forget everything, whatever things are there in his mind. So stress, dutifulness was second thing. Doing the assigned work is again the same thing. There is one reference which will be coming up later. At that time, there were typical social systems. There were no castes like today, which we have SC, ST, NT, NT1, VT1, all those OBC, SBC, EWC is another category, TFWS is another category. We have got some hundreds of castes in Maharashtra. Then there are some tens and twenties number of religions are there across the world. But then all those classifications are done according to the today's social system. That time there were only 4 types of people, 4 castes of people. I will not speak on that right now because that reference will come later. And each category of the people in that society were given a particular duties, particular task to be performed, and that particular person is supposed to do that work which is given to him. So as a Kshatriya or as a fighter, as a protector of the kingdom, Arjuna's task was to do the assigned work of protecting the kingdom and in the sense protecting the people who are staying in the kingdom. And Lord Krishna told to Arjuna that it is your duty to fight as a Kshatriya. So you will have to do it. Then agony, anxiety was there in his mind, and first chapter talks about confusion. So Arjuna had a confusion or a dilemma that whether I should fight this war or not. Ups and downs in the business. Now I have tried to connect all these verses to management. Yesterday I forgot to mention that there is no direct relationship or no any direct verse or there is no any direct shlok which will tell you about a business except one. There is only one where it very clearly mentions Vyavasayatmika buddhi kuru nehar. Sorry, I forgot it. Vyavasayatmika buddhi rekhe kurunandar. Means there is only one verse in the entire Bhagavad Gita which speaks about Vyavasaya is business. Whereas rest of Bhagavad Gita it is not talking about business at all. I tried to connect it with all the business principles. So here is one principle, ups and downs in the business. It's been told to Arjuna that this is a time where you will have to think about being on the top by winning over your enemy. Because those were the people at time they were very powerful. We know Mahabharata. So those have Kauravas they have won over Pandavas. But then now it is the time that you win over that. So I connected it with ups and downs in the businesses. It comes to each and every business. You will be learning a concept and management called as product life cycle. I don't know whether it has been yet covered or not, or it's yet to come in your syllabus. So product life cycle speaks about whenever any company launches any product or any company starts with the businesses, it will go on getting the businesses more and more. A stage comes where they will have the peak of their business, and from there it will start dropping down. This product life cycle is applicable to any type of business, any type of establishment, may it be a service organization or a product organization. That is the reason why Nokia had a very clear-cut strategy. You may not be knowing because Nokia handsets, as we discussed yesterday, are very rarely used. But then there was a strategy used by Nokia that after 6 months, they used to come up with new model. And the earlier model was totally washed out of the market. It was not available. Even the spare parts were not available. That was not repairable. The one which was around 6 months before. The reason is people should purchase something new. So to come up with the negativity which was there in the product life cycle. Product life cycle is a curve like a bell curve. You will learn it later. So you start, launch a product, it will keep on rising as its income is concerned or its return from the product is concerned. It will reach to the top where you will have a highest demand for your product. There are some models like 3300, 6600, all those models were famous in Nokia. So the moment it reaches to the top, it used to take somewhere around 3 to 6 months during that time. They will stop manufacturing that so that the product will not come to the decline stage. They will launch another product, so every time they will always remain on the peak, and that's why Nokia had the highest market share. That strategy they followed. So ups and downs in the business are likely to be there, but to break the product life cycle patterns per se, they decided not to make a product go to the decline stage. Once it reaches to the peak, stop manufacturing that, launch another one, so that you will always be remaining on the peak. So you don't get anything, that handset was not available after 6 months. If you had that handset and there is some trouble with the handset, you go to the shop, he will tell you that no, this service is not available for this handset. Most parts are available, this is not available. So what is the solution? You purchase new, which is available with a new model. So ups and downs are there, so you will have to adjust with that ups and downs. I have already spoken about product life cycle, where every company, every organization, every product, every service has to go through that particular product life cycle. There is not a single company, including the top ones in the world and even in India, most of the family-owned businesses are there. They have not seen a product life cycle. How many of you have seen Reliance has got petrol pumps? how many of their are there in Pune, or how many of their existing right now? There was a time when specifically they have again a strategy to have most of the petrol pumps outside of the city. So going from one place to another place, you will find around 20 different places where Reliance petrol pumps are available. Now there are only one, because there was a point when they launched petrol pumps and it went to the peak and it started going down, and there are almost very few Reliance petrol pumps available around. Why? Because the product life cycle is applicable even to the business like Reliance. There are many businesses which Reliance started, there are many businesses which Tata started, but then they have to keep on upgrading themselves, then only they can remain or continue with the product life cycle without the product life cycle declining. And that is very clearly mentioned here.